Big companies actually create a whole lot of validation. Like, for example, I know someone who would actually prefer working in Facebook as an intern and the senior engineer, despite his entire years of experience, would create in the mindset of the society that this person has actually worked in a big fan company. I think it's kind of important to get to understand where your fair and unfair advantage is when it comes to your aspect of getting experience within the line, either as an intern or a senior engineer. In order to streamline your idea of experience, I think you need to create a roadmap for yourself on where you want to be now and where you're going to be being later on in the future. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Option at the Shades. And we're going to be talking about an awesome topic today, which is why experts are paid more. This will give us an opportunity to create a trajectory for ourselves in our various crafts on how we can be able to be experts at whatever skills we actually find ourselves in at the moment. So back in 2008, I had an opportunity to be told a story by a friend of mine back in school. I was looking for a good way to actually structure this story to an extent, and I decided on making a research on on how I can be able to share this story with you. And eventually I saw an article that actually talked about exactly what my friend spoke about back in 2008. So I'll be sharing you the story and alongside giving you tips on how you can actually achieve the idea of gaining a huge expertise in your work or your skills. It's titled The Ship Repairman Story, Why Experts Get Paid More. A giant ship engine failed. The ship owners tried one expert after the other, but none of them could figure out how to fix the engine. Then they brought in an old one who had been fixing ships since when he was young. He carried a large bag of tools with him, and when he arrived, he immediately went to work. He inspected the engine very carefully, top to bottom. Two of the ship's owners were there, watching him, hoping he would know what to do. After looking over things, the old man reached into his bag and pulled out a small hammer. He gently tapped something. Instantly, the engine lurched into life. He carefully put the hammer away. The engine was fixed. A week later, the owners received a bill from the old man for $10,000. What? The owners exclaimed. He hardly did anything. So they wrote the old man a note saying, "Please send us an itemized bill." The man sent the bill that read, tapping the hammer, $2, and knowing where to tap, $9,998. Effort is more important. Knowing where to make an effort makes all the difference.
I saw a dope ass quote. It was, oh my God, this is the dopest quote of all time. The quote said, if I know how to do something in 30 minutes, that's because I spent 15 years learning how to get that fast at it. So I'm not charging you for the 30 minutes. I'm charging you for the 15 years. You know how long it took me to learn how to do it that fast? I'm charging you for that. You're paying for convenience, which is why sometimes costs more in the store than it does on Amazon. It's going to take longer to get to you on Amazon. It might be the wrong, but if you go to the store, it's going to cost more. But guess what? You're about to get it right now, and you know exactly what it is.
Despite the ideas of the do-it-yourself era, experts have actually proven to be flawless when it comes to the idea of knowledge, timing, efficiency, generating better ideas, expanding network, legitimizing business, making people work for you, and stabilizing an endeavor or business. And this is one of the core reasons why people actually look for experts, because it gives them the opportunity to make sure that they're actually in course with standards that are actually applied universally. They have the ability to imagine complex mental events. In comparison to non-experts, they actually portray three main traits, which is imagination, execution, and also analysis when it comes to the idea of performing an endeavor. That is why most of the times in tech, founders tend to actually look for co-founders who are experts that can actually create a same engine to develop a product to the customers as quick as possible. And having the minds of the scaling can give them the opportunity to have a first mover's advantage when it comes to the aspect of presenting this product to the customer. Now, understanding the idea of being experts and wanting to become an expert, it's important to get something right, that you don't necessarily need to be old in order for you to become an expert. You need to unarguably see things from a practical perspective of trying to practice as much as you can and get yourself exposed as much as possible in the space or in the field you're actually trying to engage in. Become as practical as possible, getting to engage yourself with various people who are actually above you in this space and putting yourself in the concept of the ideas that you can actually become an expert just like them. There's one thing to actually be practical about it, and there's another thing to have a mindset that you can actually be able to achieve things within a very short period of time. Now, getting to understand this concept, it's important to actually get to understand what the creator economy has actually disrupted when it comes to this idea of old age and expert. A creator is someone who actually has the ability to create after gaining a skill, and also alongside, do not necessarily need to become an expert to get themselves an income or get themselves an opportunity to create value. But in order for you to avoid yourself from being a mediocre and living on the level of average, it's important you tend to be as practical as possible within different perspectives of your field, in order for you to actually have a wide knowledge of what goes on around that field. It's kind of very, very important for you to actually lay down and see how it's important for you to learn how to create as much as you can from different perspectives, because that is what is actually entailed for you to become an expert. Understanding the basics of your field is very important while being practical in most of the activities that goes on around your field. From there, you can actually stem to understanding wider perspective of what people are doing and how you can actually be able to overcome the hurdles of what you're trying to create at that moment. In my own experience of trying to accomplish projects that requires me to bring in a team, I tend to look for people who have actually done things similar in the past and leverage on that to save me the time and the effort in accomplishing that project. Them coming in would actually give me the opportunity to actually accomplish the project as quick as possible, and because of their experience would help me overcome the hurdle that I would encounter while accomplishing that project. So it's important to actually leverage on people who have, and because of this is the core reason why a lot of companies are actually looking for people with 5 years, 6 years, 7 years experience, because they feel like they've actually had experiences from various companies, and that experience would actually be highly valuable because of the fact that they've actually gotten such opportunity to be effective within those previous companies that they've worked in. But it's so funny that a lot of companies tend to look for unrealistic expectation when it comes to the idea of the experience. Like, for example, looking for someone who has 15 years experience in React, or looking for someone who has 10 years experience in Flutter, when the idea of the language itself never existed 10 years or 15 years ago. It's kind of crazy to an extent. So, but all the same, you have to actually, you shouldn't let that stop you. You should just keep on practicing as much as you can and look for companies who give you that model to actually be experienced at whatever thing you're engaging yourself. So companies actually put you in a position where you feel like kind of inferior to an extent. I don't think you actually need to be bothered about it, but I just want to share the story. For example, let's say you're actually in school, because I noticed that a lot of people who actually in some crafts actually learned them while they were in school and actually made a lot of money while they were in school. But when it comes to the aspect of getting to the labor market, they end up noticing that they need 5 to 7 years experience, and they begin to count your experience right from where you actually left school. And they just assume that, okay, you've had no experience at all and all this. So you need to actually watch and pay attention to those organizations, because they are not really concerned about how much value you're able to provide. I think you should worry about companies who care about results rather than people who care about more on experiences. Although result actually accumulates with experiences, but there's a misconception to which these experiences is on the basis of the number of years to an extent. Though that still counts, it actually limits you to an extent, because to me, I believe it's more about the result rather than actually the number of years. There are a lot of ways people have been able to hack their way into the field of experience. One of them is actually by showing their work, like showing what they do, giving themselves the opportunity to get known in space for what they do to an extent, maybe within your friends, and they have the opportunity to recommend you. Another way is actually by finding mentors who can be able to validate you at certain cases and all the stuff like that. They put you at a certain position where they know that, oh, I've trained this guy. So, or you can even say, okay, I worked with this individual, and with that name alone, it actually gives you access to get a lot of things to an extent. And also another opportunity people have is they tend to work with big companies. And big companies actually create a whole lot of validation. Like, for example, I know someone who would actually prefer working in Facebook as an intern and the senior engineer, despite his entire years of experience, would create in the mindset of the society that this person has actually worked in a big fan company. So I think it's kind of important to get to understand where your fair and unfair advantage is when it comes to the aspect of getting experience within the line, either as an intern or a senior engineer. Because also too, it's important for you to actually, in order to streamline your idea of experience, I think you need to create a roadmap for yourself on where you want to be now and where you're going to be being later on in the future. It's very, very important for you to do that, because if you don't do that, you just be like someone who, like for example, a front-end developer or a UI UX developer who remains a UI UX developer for now for 15 years without even having an idea of how to transition into product, or how to transition into being a product manager, or transitioning into a chief of product, or whatever the case may be, or a BP of product. So it's important to create that roadmap in your journey of experience, and I think that would actually help you to transition into the world of being an expert. In a couple of past videos, I actually got the opportunity to explain 8 ways you can actually get experience without a job. And I think you should actually get to watch that video, because that lays the foundation to people who are just starting within this space, and how they can actually create a roadmap for themselves, creating experiences that they can be able to leverage on in order to get a job as quick as possible. That will create an opportunity for you to algorithmize your chances enough in order for you to gain expertise in your field and whatever you find yourself to do. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome. Please don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to my channel, and click on the notification bell below to get more videos from me. I really appreciate it. And if you're a returning subscriber, I really appreciate the fact that we're actually going to be enjoying this journey while it lasts. Thank you.